Do I really need a credit card roadmap? What's up, guys? Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles. Today I'm going to talk about something I've never really talked about, and that is my 2026 credit card roadmap. Here's the deal. I'm just about done with the bonus hunting equivalent of Sherman's March to the Sea, and I'm in the process of refining my credit card setup to really focus on one primary and one secondary ecosystem. Not counting cash back, of course, but I'm having some trouble figuring out which two ecosystems work best for me. So when you're having issues figuring things out, you ask for help. Or have a friend that has already built a crazy website that can give you all the answers you need. One that might actually take some of the emotions out of the equation and help you see the numbers for what they are. And for me, that is Rich from Rich with Points. I'm going to be using his website, richwithpoints.com. Go look it up, sign up for it, it's free. Rich's site is a great tool for you to punch in your own spending and your own cards or potential cards in the system, and you'll be shown the light. Whether you choose to follow that light, that's up to you. In this video, I'm going to explain what my 3 top choices are and how they look when we actually crunch the numbers. And shout out again to Rich for building this sweet website and making it easy enough even I can use it. All right, guys, again, we're not counting the cashback setup, and I'll also mention that no annual fee cards probably aren't really concerned right now. For instance, I do hold the Wells Fargo autograph, but I'm really not considering a Wells setup in this exercise, and I'm also not really interested in canceling that card. Today, we're going to compare my top 3, and these are mostly cards that I already have, so these are real, possible, right now numbers for the most part. First example is going to be the Capital One / Chase setup. This one gets rid of a ton of annual fees, and it really gets down to the just give me the points strategy. We'll dive in more later in the video, but this setup is the Capital One Duo, Venture X and Saver, along with a Chase Ink Preferred, Chase Ink Cash, and a Freedom card. Example number 2 is a Citi Chase setup. This one too is really simple, inexpensive, but generates a lot of points, even if it is bare bones on the benefit side. This one, like all 3 of these setups, contains the same Chase cards: the Ink Preferred, the Ink Cash, and a Freedom card, complemented by a Citi Strata Premier and a Citi Custom Cash. Example number 3 is the most expensive, but it's also the most benefits rich, and well, it has the most coupons. This is the Amex Chase setup. It just wouldn't be right not to have the 2 big dogs as an option. And I think this one is likely where I'm leaning towards, but I need to filter out some of my emotions and the marketing tools to see through the clouds. This setup includes the Amex Trifecta, Platinum, Gold, Blue Business Plus, plus the same trio of Chase cards. And one thing I'm going to come back to on these setups is the Lounge Access, which is very difficult to value, but I can't just ignore it altogether. Can I? So before we go over these numbers, I want to lay out the goals and strategy for 2026. I want to focus and concentrate on just 2 transferable currencies. That's it. I'm opting out of my co-branded cards, and I want to drastically reduce annual fees. Please note that the one and done bonus hunting cards aren't really included in any of this, but you might see me grab 1 or 2 of those on occasion. I also want the setups to be upgradable if I need to ramp up the traveling. One last thing, my player 2 can handle a complex spending setup, so I really don't have to simplify as much as some other folks might. Here's what it looks like on a surface level. This is the value these 3 setups might get me after I punched in all my spending estimates, and it's pretty clear where the value drifts towards. But there are other factors besides those initial numbers. These numbers are also really before I tweak the value of the benefits. And for this exercise, I really went conservative with how I value each of these coupons and benefits. Example, I might use the Saks 5th credit, but for this exercise, I'm going to value it at 0. So in this initial peek, it looks like the American Express Chase package, well, it wins, but let's take a closer look because we still have to pay annual fees. When we look at these numbers, there is some drastic differences. And I know some of you are going to recognize that the more annual fees I add, the higher the value rises, but we will reach a point that it doesn't make any sense. For instance, I'm not interested in spending $10,000 in annual fees, even if there is proof of crazy value. I'm just not going to be able to utilize all those benefits. So we see here that the Amex Chase is, of course, the most expensive, and it will also be the most work. The Chase City setup is really no work at all, and it's also super affordable. Now let's sort of adjust the value for a conservative estimate of credits in each of these setups. You see how this works? The setup that requires the work starts to really pull away. And remember, this might look like more work, but cutting out all co-branded cards, that really eliminates a lot of this work and research as well. I did a video before all these premium card changes that really stated you only need 2 annual fee cards, and that was the Venture X and the Sapphire Reserve. So in this first setup, I took the option of swapping out the Chase Ink Preferred and putting in a Chase Sapphire Reserve and added in the CSR's benefits, and this is what it looks like. Much closer to the Amex Chase setup. Let's look at the new annual fee comparison. That's also very close. I also quickly switched in the CSR and the City Chase setup, and it definitely made it more competitive, but also kept the fees relatively low. What this showed me though is that the City Chase setup is really simple and relatively cheap. Maybe even too simple for me. But that's not to say that it's not an awesome setup for some people, especially if you're not sure if you really want to travel a lot. So really guys, what have we learned about these numbers when they're about total earnings and value versus fees? Well, this might sound strange, but to me, this makes me think it just doesn't matter. I mean, the more fees I pay, the more value I get, and the actual earnings are still fairly close. I guess in short, I want to say that at least to me, it might not really matter. So what does matter? Besides the marketing and the hype and the ease of actually getting the cards, here are some other factors, and I'll keep this simple. Lounge access, partners, and versatility. And this is where things get even more screwy. City and Chase, we can always cash out for a penny a point. Amex and Capital One gets a little more complicated. City has American Airlines. Chase has Hyatt. Amex has Delta and Hilton. Capital One has, well, Capital One has partners, portals, and this is in 2 parts, earnings and redemptions. Some portals earn 10 times on hotels like City and Capital One. Some have redemption boosts like Chase. And Amex has a pretty lame portal. But having 2 ecosystems, well, that helps keep that even. So let's talk about lounges. Amex has a huge lounge network, especially when you consider adding in Delta Sky Clubs. Capital One has restricted the access, but they have amazing lounges, and Chase requires the upgraded travel card, but they will allow you to bring in your family. City, well, they're just not there yet. Again, guys, what do we see here? Well, I'm seeing that it doesn't matter as long as you have 2 ecosystems that can complement each other. So by now, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one with a headache. So here's the deal, guys. There's one X factor that most folks don't normally consider. Well, maybe 2. The first is customer service. Sure, you might only call them twice a year, but each call could be worth a couple $1,000. The second is the protections. I'm going with Amex with the best customer service, but Chase as the best protections as far as travel. Last factor is flexibility inside the setups. Is it easy to flip-flop between premium and no annual fee cards with Chase? Yes. What about Capital One? No. City? No one knows what the answer will be this week to next week. Amex? Pretty easy. So guys, let me sum this up with this. All cards and all card setups, they earn points. So I don't think that is the biggest factor. The benefits and the credits are going to be personal to each one of us, but I don't want to rely on those. For me, right now, the best setup, regardless of hype, marketing, or if the cards are metal, they're going to be different for every single one of us. Emotionally, I want the Capital One Duo and the Chase trifecta. Second place would be City and Chase, so I can earn American Airlines miles. But would I lay the evidence out there and include my taste, my lifestyle, and my spending habits? The Amex Chase setup, it works best for me, and I already have all the cards. I just need to do the pruning. Guys, another big shout out to Rich with Points and his website, and I want to ask each one of you a question. Which 2 ecosystems would you pick if it came down to just the 2, plus a bunch of cashback cards? Thanks for watching, guys, and if you stayed all the way to the end, I thank you, and I appreciate every single one of you.